It's a Thursday edition, and look at that handsome face, Mike Garofolo from the NFL Network. Guy's been running around left and right. He's our insider. He joins us every Thursday here at PuckSports.com. He's all brought to you by Hartley & Hartley Insurance, family-owned insurance experts in the Puget Sound area. They've been doing it since 1978. They believe in honesty and fairness and integrity. Contact Jamie Hartley at 253-565-8700. That was my Bill Clinton kind of.
That was a Southern accent out of nowhere.
I know. It was pretty good, though, don't you think?
Was it intentional or no?
Yeah, it just kind of feels like when you say honesty, fairness, and integrity, it's got to be in a Southern accent.
Well, now you're going from Clinton to, I don't know, somebody out of Django Unchained, maybe? I don't know.
Could be. Yeah, could be. Don Johnson, maybe? Little Don Johnson action there. Also, one of the great movies of all time. Also, Zogs on Fox Island. Perfect spot. Grab a cold beer, hang out with friends, and catch the game. Enjoy the Northwest summers. So
I hope Pelissero went to Zogs on Fox Island because,
unbelievable. Well, come on, man. Pull some weight.
Got Mike McDonald. I already told him. I'm like, I get first dibs on Seattle next year. And Ian's like, well, mine didn't count. I didn't have a crew that day. I'm like, does not matter. Like
what? And then how about those guys, Pelissero, and then Michael Robinson, and then who's the other guy?
Rhett Lewis was there,
Rhett Lewis. Okay, thank you. And they're doing a shot, and then in the background is just a massive brawl taking place, and DK is ripping the helmet off of Trey Brown and swinging it at him.
And then by the time Mike Robb and I'm not throwing Mike Robb under the bus because this is like an incredibly tough spot that they were put in. But he turns around, and I think at that point he saw DK looking like he was trying to break it up. And he goes, see, that's mature DK right there, right? And at the time, I had no idea what had happened. And, later on I saw the whole thing. I was like, wait, was that when he called him mature DK? So I texted him. He's like, yeah, man, I saw him in the sauna on the way out, or the sauna or the hot tub or cold tub or whatever, right? And he's like, bro, I was vouching for you. Here you are swinging a helmet at somebody. So, now, my understanding, sorry, I'm cleaning up my office here. I just got back. Like, inside training camp is over. It's a blast. It's great and all that. But, like, it's just travel upon travel. And I'm not done. I got to go to Pittsburgh, Houston tomorrow, which is great. I got no problem covering a preseason game. But, of course, there's a hurricane or tropical storm or whatever it is now coming up the eastern seaboard. And it's like, do I just drive or do I, 6-hour drive? Or do
sounds fun.
Oh, God. So, anyway, nobody cares. So, my understanding is DK, Bobo, like that was not the first scrum, and Bobo had gotten nicked up in a previous scrum.
He got clocked. By Brown in the face.
He was sort of coming to his defense, or maybe vengeance. So there was something honorable about what he was doing. It's like a Quentin Tarantino movie, right? There's honor among thieves is the theme that he loves. That's the second Quentin reference in like 3 minutes here.
He's a great director.
Yeah. And so, I guess there was some element of looking out for his guy on this one, but you can't swing a helmet at somebody.
Okay, so so he swung a helmet and it hit another player, did not hit Brown. Is there a fine? Does the league step in at all and punish him for this?
The league? No, not the league. Wow. Not the league. That's a team issue.
That would be a team issue. Okay.
If it can, the league now cracking down on the Giants and the Lions the other day,
right?
Has now opened this whole, every time somebody sees something, what is the league going to find? Usually this is the kind of stuff handled internally by the teams. What happened with the league was they saw a joint practice with two organizations. Hang on a second. LC! My mother's at the front door, and no, she can't get in. And
is it your mother or your mother-in-law?
It's my mother.
Yeah, you got to get it.
Elsie, downstairs.
If it's
downstairs,
the mother,
she's at the front door.
Mother-in-law, you just make her stay.
Oh, you got it already? All right, we're all good. You good? You're good. All right, great. Everybody's great. Good.
Wonderful.
I was away, and we need help with the kids, and I just threw as many people as possible to help out my wife. I'm like, just everybody come in. And now they're all leaving, and I'm coordinating.
Yeah.
Anyway, what the hell was the question?
How
do you fly? How do you fly from the West Coast to the East Coast? Do you go morning flight? Do you go? Because if you fly you lose the whole day. It's like the day never happened.
A lot of red eyes. I think when we do it, we tend to do red eye.
I did the red eye. And now it's always sounds like a better idea. And then when you're living it's
not a good idea, but it's the only way to do it to where you just don't kill the day.
Right. There's no great answer. There really is not. Especially when you have kids and it's like, you got to get home. Yeah. DK?
Yeah. So the league doesn't do anything on this one, but the team does, right?
So the league saw the Giants and the Lions going at it, and obviously felt like the teams involved did not do enough. Like, you can get away with a fight. It's going to happen. There'll be a scuffle, but obviously did not feel like the teams involved did enough to curb it and nip it in the bud. And so it continued over the course of 2 days, multiple fights, and the league's like, hey, listen, we warned you. We sent a memo out. So in this case, I would say if they see it continue with the Seahawks and it's like they don't feel like they're doing enough to stop it, even if it's – because that was a joint practice. I would say even if it's, amongst one team, then they'll step in. I don't know. I could be wrong. I mean, this is a relatively new thing that we're seeing. We don't have a firm answer as to whether they've disciplined teams before for this stuff, but this is definitely the first time they've done it publicly at the very least.
Okay, so help me understand. What's the difference between – I mean, I know one's a practice, one's against your own team, one was in a game against another opponent. What's the difference between, like, DK, what he did compared to Miles Garrett, what he did against Rudolph? Just because it's in a game and it's an opponent rather than your teammate?
There is no – I mean, to me, there's no difference, right?
It's the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah. To me, there's no difference. Now – he was swinging. Who did he swing at again?
He was swinging it at Brown, but he ended up hitting the backup safety.
But was the Brown? Yeah, he hit Kayvon Wallace, right?
Kayvon Wallace.
But did Brown have a helmet on, or was it Brown's helmet?
It was Brown's helmet.
Oh, okay, so he had no helmet on. Yeah. So that's that's literally the same thing as yeah.
And what was Garrett's punishment?
Oh, goodness. It was testing my memory now.
Hold on. Miles Garrett. I'll pull it up for you.
All right, there we go.
Mason Rudolph suspension, right? Or punishment. But it was just trying to think. He was suspended. He was suspended indefinitely. And
it carried into the next season, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, hold on. Yeah, defensive end was reinstated by the NFL. The team announced had been indefinitely suspended by the NFL since week 10.
And when was it reinstated? So it didn't
he was the center of an ugly brawl that broke out in the final seconds of the Browns' week 11 game against the Steelers.
Wow. I thought that was later in the season, man. I thought it was like one of the last couple of games. I guess it was not.
Yeah. So I mean, they're not going to. They clearly aren't going to do that here. No. But it's. I wonder if the team does anything. It seemed like to me, like the aftermath of it was that like Mike McDonald kind of signed up for it and kind of likes this. That's my feeling.
I mean, his quote to us was that DK delivered a great message to the team at the end of practice. Right. I don't know what that could be that would absolve you from everything. I mean, there's got to be some kind of discipline, right? There's got to be, and they're not telling us for now, but there's got to be
something.
You can't do this, even if you give a great message at the end of you just cannot do this to your teammates. So,
but this is kind of him, right? This is the mark, right?
I know where you're going
on DK, right? This is like. He gets himself involved in all this stuff, and where he can't just walk away. And Mike, you've been around it. You've been around these guys, and I know what that razor edge line is with the competitiveness and you're asking these guys to flip a switch and turn it off and be normal, but then push it right to the line. I mean, I get all of it, and I think it's extremely hard to do. But he continually goes to that line and goes over it all the time.
Yeah. There's always a tipping point between talent and how much you're willing to put up with somebody. The Giants got to that point with Odell Beckham. There's been others like over the course of the history of the NFL, obviously. They're not. I mean, there's nothing that indicates that like, oh, we're fed up with this guy. I mean, you've asked me, and I keep asking, and even after yesterday, I never got that answer. So, it's for McDonald to immediately go to, he gave a great message to the team, tells you that there is a threshold that they're nowhere near at this point, especially because, I mean, it's a new regime. It's sort of a fresh start for him. I shouldn't say new regime. I mean, John Schneider is still in place, but, they've had guys since Schneider has been there that have done a lot of crazy stuff, right? Like behind the scenes, Marshawn, the guys in the secondary, Earl Thomas. Like they've lived this for a long time and been willing to deal with a lot of it in the name of, success on the football field. So I don't think DK is even at that level now based on everything that they've done.
Yeah, no. And listen, I don't want, I don't want them to get rid of DK Metcalf and any of that. I wonder as they get maybe into next season with him at all and you start discussing contracts and extension, does the stuff like this, it's got to, right? It factors into like how much are we going to give you? How much do we trust you? And I've wondered out loud with him, like how would Mike Macdonald, discipline him or treat him when things like this happen? Carroll did it one way. Carroll never admonished him, never got on him at least publicly. Always has had his back. And then now we have the first, case study here with McDonald. And you're right. McDonald comes out with you guys is like, well, he talked to the team. I thought he was great message that he had to the team. I'm like, Jesus, man, he swung a helmet at one of your players.
Yeah. I would say that once you get into the regular season, if it's deemed counterproductive to success on the football field, then that changes the narrative. As of right now, it's like, okay, let's not do that again. Like that wasn't great. We don't want to be swinging helmets at our own guys, regardless if you're standing up for somebody or whatnot. But it's something to monitor, I would say.
We've seen,
because this is like, you want to call it strike one. This is something that if it happens again, then you're going to start to have these kinds of conversations.
Yeah, and we've seen more of it. I mean, you think about next week. I mean, they've got a game, coming up this weekend, but then they've got a joint practice that's happening. I think it's next week against the Titans. Hell, that's going to be unbelievable. I mean, because you got Jamal Adams, you've got Quandre Diggs. I mean, there's a high probability that something happens in those joint practices. Do coaches like the joint? I mean, they must like these joint practices, but does there get to a point like if they continue to be this chippy and these many incidents, do coaches kind of pull back on it?
So Mike Tomlin, he's either never done it or he hasn't done it for a long time. They're doing it this year. They have a joint practice with the Buffalo Bills. And I was talking to somebody about this, like, well, what can we expect? Because I was in Pittsburgh for training camp. And I said, well, it depends. I mean, if the coaches can keep these guys in check, like Eagles and Patriots had done one, and Belichick and Sirianni, and it was productive work for a couple of days, no issue. I covered it. I was like, this was really productive, and guys are walking off the field together, and no problem. Years ago, I'd covered one between the Giants and Jets when Donnie Henderson, the defensive coordinator, had those guys coming off the bus after they drove all the way up to Albany. And just looking for Giants to just get after. And it's like 5 minutes in, it was scuffles all over the place over 3 fields. So it's and now the Steelers Bills one, I guarantee you, with those two head coaches who know each other and the William and Mary connection and all that stuff, there will not be one player that looks at another player the wrong way. I guarantee. I'm putting that on the line right now. I'm giving you a clip that you could throw back in my face if there's a melee, of course. But I just, it depends. So the other day, I forget which camp I was even at, and somebody said, "Oh, shocking! The Dan Campbell's Lions got into a fight, and Brian Daboll, another one who's been known to fly off the handle, his team was involved in a shocker that those two teams were going at it for 2 consecutive days." So it starts with the head. And that's not a knock on Dan Campbell or Brian Daboll. It's how they run their programs. It's how their personalities tend to be, and their teams followed it and got after it.
You brought up Tomlin and the Steelers. Are they getting closer to announcing a starting quarterback? And is it really a competition? Or, I mean, like how has Wilson not just been named the starter yet?
He hasn't practiced. Well, first of all, it's a competition.
It really is.
Like, when I was in Latrobe,
truly is a competition.
1,000,000%. Like, I was in Latrobe talking to sources inside the building. We'll put it to you that way. And multiple people were like, no, this is like, he's got a shot to like, and our head coach said that Russ was in the pole position. He didn't say he had the job. He just said he was in the pole position. So obviously, if he took care of what he needed to take care of, he said, but he hasn't been on the field. And Justin's been showing some upside. I mean, we talked about this, you and I. Once he gets into the preseason, he's going to do something spectacular with his legs or his arm. And he seems like he's been willing to take coaching and understand what Arthur Smith is. I mean, I've heard that. He's always been willing to take coaching. That's never been something that, the knock on him has been he hasn't been able to process, but not because he's stubborn, but because he just wasn't that kind of passer in college where he was just throwing to dudes we had so many receivers just running by guys. And they were like, well, in the NFL, he's going to have to start here and progress to 2 and 3. And he really didn't show that. Can he do that? So that's been the knock on him, but not because he's, unwilling to listen or learn. I mean, so he's been good in that realm. And, if Russ can't get on the field and do what he needs to do, Justin Fields is going to run away with
If he doesn't win the job, is he done? Done in the NFL?
I don't think he'll ever get a crack at a starting quarterback job again. So the question then becomes, just like Cam Newton, I mean, it's different, but just like Cam Newton, do you want to bring that in as your backup quarterback? Like, are you willing to put up with all the stuff that comes with it?
Yeah.
And for Russ, it's not. And I also, by the way, believe, and Cam Newton was saying this, like, I'm better than all these backups, but nobody's willing to bring me in because they feel like I'm extra or whatever word he used. And I agree with him. I agree with him that was the reason. I don't agree with him Cam Newton should have been a backup last year. It's just crazy that he wasn't. So that's going to be the question with him moving forward. But, we're getting the cart before the horse. I mean, he could get back on the field and win this job.
Yeah, it'll be fine. What's the latest with Brandon Aiyuk? Has he been traded or not traded? What the hell's going on?
They're working through it, man. I mean, the 49ers. So here's what I'll tell you. The Niners and the Steelers don't have a receiver to trade in the way that the Patriots and the Browns did.
Yeah.
So the Niners were trying to make a move and make sure they get a guy back. So it's like, well, it's not going to be Brandon Aiyuk that we get back, but somebody close enough that we feel like, okay, well, at least we created a hole, but then we patched it right away. Plus we get compensation and we don't have to deal with this anymore. Like that is the whole plan there. So I think there's a process of, okay, Pittsburgh, whatever they're offering us is not going to help us in that regard. They just don't have those guys at the receiver position, which is why it makes sense for them to trade for Aiyuk. And they're not going to trade George Pickens, obviously. So there's a process of, okay, well, then what? And they just signed, I mean, as we're on here, they just signed Robbie Chosen.
Well, so he changed.
Chosen Anderson.
Yeah. So did he change his name to Chosen?
One of them's Chosen. I think he was Robbie Chosen, then he was Chosen Anderson, and Chosen keeps moving around. He may have been Chosen.
And then he changed the spelling of his name. It was a Robbie with a Y, then it was Robbie with an IE.
Oh yeah. So whatever. It's your name. You feel free. I actually think it's kind of weird. Like I gave my kids their names, and I was like, they're going to carry that name forever, and they.
So you think that that we should not name the kids? And then it's I'm hold on, you've got me off here on a sidebar here, and allow them at a certain age they get to pick their name.
Yeah, but what are you gonna
number one and number two? Yeah.
Come here, two. Thing one and thing two.
Yeah,
what's up, one?
Yeah,
how you doing?
Something like that. All right, okay.
Hey, come here.
Yeah, come here. Just nickname them all up.
Oh, both of them. Oh god,
there you go.
Yeah, let me ask you a question. So I gave you your name, right? Yeah, I called you Carmen.
Hi, Carmen.
Like you came out as a baby, and I was like, "You're Carmen," and you're Vivian. Do you like your name?
No.
So Carmen, if you could pick a new name, what would it be?
I like the Taylor.
Oh,
you want to be Taylor?
Yeah.
I wonder why that is. Here, I wonder why that is.
So look at that. Oh, you're all Taylor Swift. What's the best Taylor Swift song?
Ooh, I know what you're gonna say.
What?
Because you change it. Yeah. It changes. So which one's the best Taylor Swift song?
I would say Fortnite.
Fortnite?
Oh, I was gonna say Red. I thought you were gonna say Red.
No.
Come here, Viv. Do you like your name?
No.
You don't like Vivian?
What name do you want, Vivian?
No, for real, actually.
Come here, Viv. What name do you want? Huh?
Taylor Swift. Another Taylor Swift.
You want to be? You would name? Would you
Another
change your
Taylor
name? You want to be
Swift.
Taylor too?
Yeah,
she's Taylor.
You want to be
Another
Taylor
Taylor
or like Taylor 2?
Actually, I kind of like a.
You want to?
All right. Well, think about it. Come back to me. We'll take it to the courthouse. Don't worry. We'll
Hey,
do
most
whatever we need.
important
Actually, no.
question though
No.
tonight, Carmen and Vivian. You like the Patriots 6.5 tonight against the Panthers, or do you like the
wanna be
Panthers
Vivian.
getting the points tonight? Who do you like?
Does Jim?
I'm gonna be Carmen.
Does Jim usually? Did Jim send that in? Is Jim asking a question
he's
through
asking
you?
a question.
Yeah. Listen. You can do it. I am not allowed to do it. You can do it.
I'm gonna be Vivian.
All right. You guys are out of here.
I heard
Like-
Patriots minus 6.5 from Carmen.
Is that? Do you agree with that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you do.
You do?
I
Okay.
want to be Vivian.
No, you're not listening. All right. So anyway, Robbie Chosen.
I'm still sitting.
You
Oh, you can
you
sit with me,
finish.
but don't
You're all
interrupt.
good.
I got it.
It's fine.
We're on a clock here, and I got to give Puck
We're on a clock
his
here.
money's worth.
I gotta.
Like she's
So,
got a big personality, doesn't she? Huh?
Oh God, the biggest.
How old is Carmen now?
Hi, 6. I need those markers.
She's
Don't
only
go far with
6.
those, please.
Wow.
Only 6.
Have
Going
fun.
on-
Have
going on
fun with
16.
that, my friend.
There's no eraser. Here, you use that to erase. So they signed
Okay.
Robbie Chosen, which maybe they feel like that's enough. And then, okay, we can move forward and get the best possible deal we can with Pittsburgh. That's why I keep saying like we're inching and we're getting closer. And I'm tired of saying that because it's been a couple of days and I feel like there's a shelf life. Some people on social media feel like there isn't a shelf life and they can say the guys traded a week ago and then when it happens, be like, see, I told you.
Yeah,
I told you they had a
yeah.
deal in place. That they didn't have a deal.
Well, there's
in place.
only
I'm
the
really not trying to
best,
delve
the
too much
best
into that, but-
place to get your source on Brandon Aiyuk and whether or not he's going to be traded, Mike Garofolo.
Hopefully. Did you see the clip of Ayuk's agent
No.
at the Raiders practice
No.
yesterday? So he's standing behind us as we start our hit. And he had declined comment. So as we come to me, I go, well, this is going to be awkward, folks, and I said, can we get wide? And so they zoom out and he's standing right behind me. And I go, if I say anything here that's out of line, feel free to interject and help clarify here. And he just and then as we're finishing up, he gets a phone call and I go, who's on the phone? Who are you talking to?
So
And,
if
he
you
didn't
were
know.
a betting man, okay, I'm not just a betting man, that you would put the odds on who to land him. Pittsburgh for sure. Okay.
That is a nerd.
All right. So this is a callback. They were watching me last night. See,
That is a nerd.
I don't think Dad's a nerd. I mean, he's got some nerd qualities,
all right,
but
so they were watching me last night. We were on location, and they told me, Tom, he's in Seattle. Tom's monitor is out. He has no what we call return in the business,
Sure,
meaning he
I
can't
know.
see what's going on. So he was hosting the show.
I know what you're
So they go, Mike, you're hosting the show now. And I go, okay. So I'm going to have some fun. It's been a long training camp. So I wrote on a piece of paper, Tom
Love
is a
it.
nerd. And I said, hey, bring us up in a split. It's kind of like this. And I go, hey, by the way, folks, I'm going to be hosting the show now. Tom has lost his monitor. He has no, and as I'm saying this, I'm holding up Tom as a nerd. And I said, well, he'll see that later. You know, he has no idea what's going on.
I
So
love
now
it.
they're copying me.
That's the way you got to do it. It's a real quick. What I was going to ask you about the Browns thing. The Browns going to get a state. Like, are the Browns trying to get a new stadium?
Yeah, they've been trying for
They
a
want
while
a
now.
dome.
Which is
I
apparently.
don't like it. No.
I don't like that. You're on the. And now they've had some games where the weather's just. Over the years,
That's
just
the
completely
part of
taken
it.
over.
That's
and-
fun.
I know, and people are freaking out, and I don't blame them. I get it. Like football's been a certain way for 100 years now.
Just play it outdoors in that environment. You can't have teams in that division, especially that division, playing in a dome. It just that doesn't work.
Well, Brandon Aiyuk's a bad example because he wants to go to Pittsburgh, but not Cleveland, apparently, which is kind of crazy to me. It's like they're the same city, right?
What
like,
the difference is.
It's not like Pittsburgh or Miami or Cleveland or Miami. Okay, I get that. So it could be we want to attract, but they've had a good job bringing people in and free agents and Deshaun Watson. I mean, Deshaun Watson initially ruled them out. He told them they were out. And
Hey,
then
last thing for you, and then I know I gotta go.
Yeah.
What is that one? Oh, football is a nerd.
Football is a nerd.
Football's not a
Football's
nerd.
Good. Okay.
Yeah,
nerd.
yeah.
You're a nerd.
You're a nerd.
Great
That's
parenting.
phenomenal parenting. This is exactly how I talk to my kids. Does
Okay.
you can ask
Tell me
Carmen?
Panthers
Can
are
ask
the
this
worst.
one
Okay.
too. Does Michael Penix?
like,
Can Michael
these kids
Penix
are-
win the job
Yeah.
in preseason? Not a chance.
No.
Okay.
No chance. Zero chance. Can he win it in the regular season if Kirk Cousins struggles? Yes. Can he win it in the preseason? I'll go with 0.001%.
Will they ever trade him at the deadline? Cousins?
Who? Oh,
Okay.
potentially, but I'm trying to figure out the scenario. I mean, they're going to be competitive. They have, according to, so our Cynthia Freeland, I think I told you this, has her projections for wins, and based on schedules, we put it in a spreadsheet, and the Falcons have by far the easiest schedule in the league. So I don't know how they are so bad by the trading deadline that they go, we're going to cut bait, and let this guy go. It would also be like, for cap purposes, I got to look at it, but it would.
There he is, the Mike Garofolo Show with Vivian and Carmen in the background, all brought to you by Hartley and Hartley Insurance Zogs on Fox Island. Catch the show every Thursday. We release it at 1 o'clock, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and, of course, pucksports.com. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe on all the platforms. Get the very latest from the NFL with Mike Garofolo. You're the best. Love having you on. Love the family. Thanks for squeezing us in. We'll wrap with you next week.
We'll see you next week. Better slept and less distracted. Are you spraying that in the house?
Yes.
Give me that back.
Yes,
Give me that back.
they are.
I gotta go. Discipline, like Mike McDonald.